Justin Welsh has built a 7-figure newsletter, and in this video, I'm going to break down how he did it, and we're going to get into all the components to show you how to build a newsletter yourself and potentially build a 7-figure business on top of it. So let's dive in and get started. So for this video, I've broken down all the components of Justin's newsletter. Now, I've had a little bit of interaction with Justin online. And the thing I've got to say about Justin is he's somebody that I have massive respect for because he's just genuinely a nice guy that wants to see people succeed. And in my opinion, he's doing a lot more than many entrepreneurs out there who are in this market. I've been around online marketing, digital marketing, courses, all that stuff for a really long time. And I've seen a trend where it has gotten a bad reputation, but that is not the case with Justin and what he's trying to do. Now, given he's really smart about the way he does this, you can tell he's a shrewd business person, but the thing is he's genuinely just a good guy and he wants to see people succeed. And here's my point of why I share that. This whole system, right? The whole newsletter system, everything that is being done and that we're going to talk about right here, at its core is about providing people with value, right? At its core, it's about quality content, no holds barred, right? High quality content that ultimately, he gives away a lot. In his newsletter, if you're reading his newsletter, he's selling courses. He has a couple offers we're going to talk about here in a minute, but he gives away a lot in his newsletter. This guy is providing a lot of value to masses of people, and he has a fantastic reputation. So if you're not following him, if you haven't read his newsletter, highly recommend you check it out. And hopefully this video comes across the way it's designed to be, which is just incredible respect for somebody who is committed to providing value to their market. And that really lends to the core of what this newsletter is about, right? The newsletter itself, the whole system that we're going to look at here is built on this foundation of quality content that provides value to the market and helps the market make a shift. So everything that we're going to talk about, you need to view it as building it through that chassis, okay? So the first thing that we're going to talk about, we're going to start with the newsletter itself. So what I'm talking about is how the newsletter sits on the site, why it works, what works about it, etc. Things that he's really innovated that are really simple solutions to complex problems that make this such a success. So we're going to start with first talking about the newsletter. Next, we're going to talk about the opt-in process, right? How is he getting subscribers? And why is that working, right? You'll notice that he has 2 pages. Why does he have 2 pages and what's that about? We're going to talk a little bit about traffic. Now, I could do an entire video, and maybe I'll do that if anybody wants it. I could do an entire video on his traffic strategy. It's incredible. We're mainly going to dive into just a couple key components, like how much traffic is he getting in order to make the revenue that he's making. What are just a few key components of his traffic and why it works, and what are the sources, right? Where is this coming from? And then we're going to talk about his offers, and then we're going to talk about the revenue streams, and then the tech stack, right? What is needed to make all of this happen? How much would it cost if you were just getting started and to operate something like this? And I think you're going to be really surprised. It's pretty amazing. So to dive in, again, let's start with the newsletter page and content itself, because this is really key, aside from the fact that it's just quality. So when I first got started in online marketing, I think it was 2005, 2006. Newsletters were pretty popular back then, right? That was the offer. We were starting to see people were not aware of collecting email addresses. And how do we get the email address, right? Well, we offer a newsletter, right? Newsletters have actually been around for hundreds of years, believe it or not. But the online equivalent of the newsletter really gained popularity in the early 2000s. And then it kind of drifted off. And one of the main reasons that newsletters stopped working or stopped becoming a primary offer, like what Justin has done here, is as we saw a shift in focus to the email marketing itself, a lot of people started to notice that from an email marketing perspective and used with paid ads, that the newsletter itself wasn't the best offer. And here's what we began to notice running tests with newsletters. And I'm going to show you how Justin solved this in just a second. What we started to notice was that email newsletters, because of the way we were sending emails at the time, email newsletters were basically training people on your list not to click links in emails and not to open emails. And as marketers for years, we said, oh, you don't, back when, 2010 to 2015, we're like, no, use a lead magnet, right? Use a webinar, use these other funnels, right? You don't want to use a newsletter. It trains people not to open and click your emails. And the reason that was the case was because you would have people who were enjoying your weekly content. They were enjoying your newsletter, but the newsletter was delivered in the email, right? And the problem is that the newsletter content was there. So when you would send them something to get them, an offer in front of your market, right, to monetize the newsletter, the audience, the most engaged audience, was not in the habit of clicking links in your email because the newsletter content was delivered right there. It also began impacting open rates. And the reason was because as you were, depending on the cadence of the delivery of the newsletter, you would have people that are like, oh, I want to read that. I'm going to leave it unread and I'm going to set it aside so I can get to it later. And then they would build up, right? And then, people would just be like, I've got too much content from them that I haven't consumed, and I'm going to go unsubscribe now until I can catch up, right? So this process is ultimately kind of what made people move away from newsletters for many years. But now, if you've been online, you notice that they are coming back with a vengeance, right? Ultimately, I think that, and I don't know if he originated this, but I think that it's what Justin's doing. There's this one little ingenious tweak that he made that makes the newsletter work. And as soon as I saw it, I thought, this is genius. This is absolutely genius. It's such a simple solution. So what we're seeing here is Justin's newsletter is delivered in email, right? It's an email newsletter. It's delivered in email, but it's also on the website, okay? This is the key. When we look at the email newsletter itself, don't judge me for the 34,000 unread, 31,000 unread messages in this inbox. So when we look at this email, right? Read on my website with a simple link, first thing that they see. So what this is doing is this is basically overcoming that problem of people not clicking on links on an email. Now, what I tend to do is I tend to read this on the website each week. And this is the key of why I read this on the website each week. When you go to the website, let's just look at an article here on his site. When you go to the website, these are all articles. Let's go to the actual newsletter itself. When you go to the website, you just see that it's a nicer experience, right? The design is very nice. It's very appealing. The font and everything, it is just a better experience, right? And it makes consuming the newsletter, in my opinion, more enjoyable, right? I'm the type of person, I like good design. I like things that look good. And this is it's simply a better experience on the website. Now, there's nothing wrong with the email version, right? There's nothing wrong with the email version. But when I get on the site, I'm like, that's a nice site. I really like that site. And it's just a better experience, right? So because of that, many people, I think, choose to view the newsletter on the website. And that's how it's designed, right? You can read it and skim through it in your email, but if you just want to click and go to the site and save it for later that way, instead of leaving it unread in your inbox, I think that that's probably a pretty common behavior for people with Justin's newsletter. So that's really key, is you can choose to consume it in the email if that's your preference, but you see throughout this email, there are links to bring you back to the site, to bring you to the sponsors of the newsletter, which we're going to talk about in a minute, and to basically make it so like, hey, if you want to read this in your email, you can, but ultimately, if you've been to Justin's site, which you have had to have to opt in, you just know that it's going to be a better experience, more enjoyable experience for you on the site, right? And it's not like he tries to make it bad in the email. That's not what I'm saying. It's just, it doesn't look as nice, plain and simple, right? So I think that that's a key to how he's made this work, right? And why this works is he's overcome that, basically that negative flywheel effect that's happened in traditional email newsletters by just this one simple link that says read on my website and sends them to the same article on the site. Really smart. I know that seems like a small thing, but this is really key. Like it's just, I saw it and I was like, that's genius, right? Great strategy. Now, in the newsletter content itself, right, we see the page is broken down into a few different pieces. So the email version, right, you've got the branding of the Saturday Solopreneur, you've got the title of the article. We then have the read on my site with the read time 4 minutes. He then has a section to focus on the sponsors. Then he gets right into the content, which is the same content that's on the site. And then at the end, it's slightly different. He has his offers. Here he says there are 2 ways I can help you. For those who are on the site, you'll see that he says that there are 4 ways that he can help you. And we're going to talk about this call to action and what makes this work in just a couple minutes here. Then below on the site, you'll notice on the site version, let's just start at the top for the site version 1, he has his meta image for this article. This is really key. This is really important for the article, and there's a couple things that he's doing here to get attention. And again, it creates a better experience, but this is also helping him with his advertising of the newsletter and getting subscribers. So again, we're going to talk about that in a minute. You'll also notice on this site, right? This site is designed very specifically in the newsletter. One, you'll notice that there are opportunities to subscribe everywhere, right? He's got an opportunity to subscribe to the newsletter here. He has an opportunity to subscribe to the newsletter here. And then if we scroll back down to the bottom, you'll see another opportunity to subscribe. And you'll notice that as I was scrolling down that page, this opportunity stays with you, right? So it continues on. You always have an opportunity. If you've landed on this through SEO or somebody having shared this article and referred it, there's plenty of ways. It's easy to get on this newsletter, right? And he's driving that by social proof. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But it's a very simple page, but it's made up of this meta image, right? He's got his date, he's got his title. Again, just a nicer experience. He has his sponsors. We're going to talk more about the sponsors specifically in just a couple minutes, and how that works and why that's working so well. Then he has the content, and then he has his call to action on the page. So that's the pieces that make up the newsletter, right? We see the header image, we see the title, we see the sponsors. In this case, those are optional. You don't need to start with those. Justin didn't. You have the core content itself, and then you have the call to action. That's what this is made up of. So basically what I'm saying is when somebody gets the email newsletter, this is what they get, right? This is what comes with it. So that's how it's structured, both in the email and in the on the website version. So let's zoom out and look at how is he getting people on this, right? Where are people coming from, and what is the experience to get on the list if they didn't get in the list from the newsletter page itself, right? What does that look like? Well, what you'll notice is if you go to his site, you'll notice that there are 2 pages that he uses for newsletter opt-ins. And each of these pages creates just a slightly different experience. And again, just like everything else with Justin, he's very intentional, and he's very, he focuses on mastery of the basics. And so just to look at the pages, you wouldn't think that there was much different, and you may just say, well, I don't know why this guy's got 2 pages, but if I'm going to build something similar, I only need 1, right? And that would be a mistake. So an email newsletter is not typically going to have a super high opt-in rate, a super high conversion rate. And that's, again, it's kind of par for the course with email newsletters. That's why a lot of people opted for lead magnets or, webinars or more specific offers, right? Which have their own downfalls. But the email newsletter is not typically going to have as high of an opt-in rate. And that's why what I'm about to show you here with this opt-in process is so important. So for starters, he has the page that's just on his website, right? And this page is very simple. I think I just went to it here when let's see. Yeah, so it's this page here. I was just here when I went to find the most recent article to show how that looked. And, this page is great. Nothing wrong with this page. You'll also notice that he has the second version, which is, more simplified. Now, between these two versions, if you were to land on this page, and if you were to land on this page, the reason that there are two separate pages is basically opt-in rate and user experience. This page right here is going to have a much higher opt-in rate, and it's going to have a much higher conversion rate, whereas this page right here is going to provide a better experience, a better user experience for people who are already subscribed or don't want to subscribe and just want to read the articles, or maybe are basically coming across this organically. We're going to talk about that, how that works when we get into the traffic strategy a little bit. And the reason that this page is going to have a little bit of a lower conversion rate is it's asking you to do multiple things, right? So you can land on this page, but you'll notice that this one has the menu, right? So it has the menu at the top, and this one does not. This one has the articles below, where you can, again, subscribe, or you can just go to the most recent article. You'll see that these are in order, and this one does not, right? The reason that this has been removed from this one is specifically where when he's driving traffic through his strategies to the landing page, this is the one that he's using, right? It's because it's designed to focus on the conversion, the opt-in or the optimization of that opt-in without distraction. That's why the menu has been removed. That's why there's not anything below this page asking for you to opt in, right? It's just focused on the opt-in. It's not asking you to check out the other articles. It's just focused on the opt-in. So because it's just focused on the opt-in, why is this working so well, right? What about this page is working? Well, if you've been on Twitter or LinkedIn, we see a couple people here on the screen, and there's more below it. It's very driven by social proof. One, all the people on the screen, if you've been on Twitter, if you've been on LinkedIn, you will have seen one of those people. They're some of the biggest creators on the internet. And these are people he is leveraging social proof by other top creators who are giving him accolades, right? They're giving him praise for what he's doing. So he has the name of the newsletter, the title of the newsletter. He has his headline, right? His subheadline, the opt-in with the button, right? And then he has the biggest creators online saying, Justin knows what he's talking about, you should listen to him. So he has this incredible social proof of these other people that like him and recommend what he has to talk about. In addition to the fact that his headline, right? Practical tips guiding you from first dollar to full-time solopreneur, right? Simple, clear, you know exactly what you're getting, practical tips. And then every Saturday morning, you'll get one actionable tip to launch, grow, and monetize your internet business in less than 4 minutes. So he's basically saying, hey, this is what it's for. This is when you'll get it, so you know what to expect. I'm going to get it on Saturday. There's the camera. I'm going to get it on Saturday. What am I getting every Saturday? I'm getting one actionable tip to launch, grow, and monetize my internet business. So that's what I'm getting. Is this going to be a big time commitment? No, it's going to be in less than 4 minutes. So I don't know if I want to get it on a Saturday. Well, I can read one tip on a Saturday to basically help me monetize or grow my internet business for 4 minutes. I can sacrifice 4 minutes, right? And everybody else that I've seen online is talking about him, so I'm going to opt in, right? I'm going to check out what he has to say. It even goes so far that his call to action button is also leveraging social proof, right? join 180,000 plus readers, right? So not only are, these other content creators that I'm seeing online talking about the fact that Justin is great, but there's also 180,000 other people, other readers that are reading this every Saturday. I want to make sure that I'm one of them, right? There's a bandwagon effect of, I don't want to miss out. There's already 180,000 people on here. So he is very masterful with how he leverages that social proof. And this page, if you go to the page, you'll see it's full of social proof even below the fold, right? And then there's one more opportunity for you to opt in on this page at the bottom, right? So you see social proof, you see just a little bit more information about what you're going to get, and then you have another opportunity, again, fueled by social proof, to opt in on this page. So that's why this is working so well for him, are those components, and those are the components of what make up the page. One of the things that I love, and we'll just focus down here. So right, once they opt in, they get into his email marketing platform. Very simple. He uses ConvertKit. We're going to talk about that in the tech stack and how that's, how that works. But what I love ultimately just about the email newsletter itself, what I love about the email newsletter is it's just so simple, right? I'm so tired of complicated funnels. I'm so tired of overcomplication with funnels. I think that should be a word, overcomplication. That's like the overcomplication of funnels. Anyway, I'm so tired of that. And what I love is a simple two-step funnel, right? You have the opt-in page, and then you have the thank you page. And thank you pages traditionally are already simple, but this one's even more simple. A thank you page should basically do just that, right? It acknowledges what they just did, and it says thank you, right? So he does that. Thanks for subscribing to the Saturday Solopreneur. And then it basically tells them what to do or what to expect next. So here, he's telling them what to expect next. He's going to send you the newsletter that you want to read. Then he says what to do next, right? Would you mind sparing 15 seconds to tell me what you're hoping to learn? This is to help him improve his content and find out what people want. And that's with what that survey is right there. Very, very smart. I love the strategy that he's using here. And the thing about it is, like, we've seen these complicated funnels, right? We've all seen it. The 50-step funnels with upsells, downsells, cross sells, sideways sells. It's annoying, right? And the thing about those funnels is they take a long time to build. They take a long time to get right. They're not for novices, right? This is a basic funnel, and this is a foundational funnel. This is easy to build. You can set this up in a few hours, right? This is easy to build. And the thing is this is a great entry funnel. We're going to talk about the traffic in just a minute, to just get started with. And you can use this everywhere. And you can choose from this funnel, you could choose to create more complicated funnels, or you could just do what Justin does. And he's just focused on making this funnel perfect, right? And just continuing to refine it and tweak it and make it better and better and better, which is ultimately my preferred approach as well. And it makes me think of, I think it was Bruce Lee. He said, I'm not afraid of the man who knows 10,000 kicks that he's practiced one time, but I am afraid of the man who knows one kick that he's practiced 10,000 times, right? So the one kick is like, I'm just going to master this basic fundamental concept of a newsletter funnel, right? And that's what I see Justin doing here. He does use some other funnels. We're going to talk about those in a minute, but everything is built on these, and the other ones are also extremely simple. So I love that. So with the traffic strategy, let's move from the opt-in process and the opt-in page itself, which is just incredibly simple, but there's a lot of nuance that's making this work. Let's get into a little bit into the traffic itself. Again, there's, like everything else with Justin, there's some nuance here. So he had this post from a few weeks back, and this just is basically showing a screenshot of his Fathom Analytics account, showing how much traffic he's getting. You'll see that in this, basically, I think this is his 90-day, I believe. He's getting he's had 1 million views, right, which is up from what it was. And he has 420,000 visitors in that time period. And we see a lot of these visitors. You'll notice in the breakdown here, you'll notice that a lot of these visitors are coming directly from the email, right? The direct or unknown sources, people sharing the link, people landing on the homepage, people going, just typing in justinwelsh.me. So we see that here. That's where the majority of the traffic is coming from, because he's built up that list, right? He's built up the newsletter list. He's built up the awareness, and people will now just go to his site to find what they want, right? So that's the main source. But following that closely, we see LinkedIn, Twitter, and Google. And with these 3 traffic sources, these are his core traffic sources. So recently he's gotten into SEO, which he tells us here in this post. But his traffic sources are Twitter, LinkedIn, the newsletter list itself, which is part of where that direct traffic is coming from, and SEO. And that's where he's driving this traffic. So he's got a lot of traffic. He didn't start out with this being a 7-figure newsletter, right? But he's built it over time as the audience itself has compounded, right? It's not the content that's compounding, it's the audience that's compounding, right? It's the people that are the subscribers. It's the people who are following him on these social media platforms that are clicking and visiting. That's what's compounded. So this is where he's getting the traffic from, and he's using Twitter and LinkedIn, and that was supposed to say Google or SEO. He's using Twitter, LinkedIn, and Google in addition to the email list, right, to drive people to the newsletter itself. But this is site visits. So when he's directing traffic from primarily Twitter and LinkedIn, this is the page that they're going to, right? They're going specifically to the opt-in page. Again, there's some nuance here of why this is working, right? We're starting to see the separation of why he has the 2 pages. But this page right here is specifically for the opt-in. And one of the things that I've noticed, I've seen a couple people try to do what Justin's doing, and they're just a little bit off on what they're doing. And this is one of the things. If you look at his posts, both on Twitter and on LinkedIn, what you'll notice is that he has basically 2 meta images that are being pulled from the site when he shares those links. This one's just the branded Saturday Solarpreneur. It's got the picture of him telling you what to expect, right? And that's linking back to this page. So if you see something like this, like a plug like this on Twitter, that link, if you click on it, is going to send you to that opt-in page. And somewhere around 15 to 20% of his top performing posts have this in it. It's called a plug. And so this is coming from organic, right? This is a certain post gets a certain amount of traction, and then a plug is added to that post, directing people who like that post back to opt in for the newsletter. And it's kind of on the principle with his content it's kind of on the principle that we see Amazon operate at, right? Amazon is like, you go to Amazon, you add a product to your cart, and it's the experience of like people who bought this also bought this, or people who like this also like this. And it shows you other things that people who have bought that may buy or may like or may be clicking on, right? Justin's process is very similar. It's basically like, hey, people who liked and engaged with this content on Twitter or LinkedIn may also like my newsletter. So here's an opportunity to add it to your cart. Go check it out, right? So that's why that's working and how that's working on the social platforms. The other thing that he's doing is past issues of his newsletter. He's sharing a link specifically to that newsletter issue. So this is, I believe, typically done on a Saturday, or excuse me, a Sunday. So I believe he does this the day after the newsletter goes live. So basically, up until the newsletter goes live, he's promoting the newsletter itself. Then the newsletter comes out. It is promoted primarily to the subscribers. And then after that, the next day on Sunday, he does a post where he is just basically directing people back to the specific issue, basically, from what I can tell, it's like a way to give a sample of like, hey, here's the type of content that other people enjoyed, and here's the social proof. And you'll notice that those meta images that we talked about on the newsletter itself, those are what are being pulled for these specific posts. So this is going directly to a newsletter article, and they're being pulled, from that image which was on the article. So when they click on this, they're going to go to that article, and they're going to know that they're exactly in the right place, and they're going to have that experience of, wow, this looks really great, and this is really great content, right? I think a high percentage of those people are going to be like, yeah, I'd like to see more about this each week, right? And then they subscribe, or they just start coming back to check out more of the articles, right? So that's a little bit about his traffic strategy. Again, I could do an entire very, very long video on the traffic strategy because it's fantastic. But what's amazing about it is the traffic strategy is just completely built on organic traffic. I think that he was dabbling in some paid advertising for a little bit, but I haven't seen anything about that. So I think that what he was doing with organic is just working so well that he's just continuing to go down that path. And the majority of this was built with organic, right? So it's organic posting on LinkedIn, Twitter, and I don't believe he does anything on YouTube. I think it's only interviews, and I don't think he does those too much anymore either. So now, right, we've looked at the foundational aspects to see how does this work and how is this all set up. Now I want to dive into the tech stack to show, how how this is all built. What's this built? What would it cost to set something like this up? We want to talk about the revenue streams, and we want to talk about the offers. So let's first actually dive into the offers, because I mentioned there were a couple other funnels, a couple other processes. And I want to just look at these for just a minute, because again, these are very simple. So he's really only using a few funnels here. And again, he's decided not to go to complicated funnels. All of these funnels are basic funnels. These are like the most basic funnels that exist. These things are not going to one day stop working. The principles that he's using just work. So basically, he uses one funnel to start, which is his product funnel. So on the newsletter, at the bottom of the newsletter, he has 4 calls to action, or it's one call to action to basically promote his other funnels. The way that he has this working is incredible. So first of all, the types of funnels we have are just a sales page, right? This is selling a low ticket course, $150. He has 2 courses, $150 each. This is his first funnel, right? They're the same funnel, 2 different products, and it is just a sales page. It's just a sales funnel, right? So it's a product page built on social proof. Again, I could do an entire video on that. Product page built on social proof. If you want it, you click the button, you go check out, you know exactly what you're getting, and then you're given access. Very simple funnel. The other 2 funnels that he has, again, this one is a sales funnel. This is essentially the same thing, but it's promoting his the opportunity to sponsor his newsletter, which is a higher ticket offer. We'll talk about that separately in just a minute. I just bring it up here because it is one of the options in the call to action. And then the other funnel that he's using is the currently, this is new for him. He's using a waitlist funnel, right? So he's launching a new product. As a result of that, he's using a waitlist funnel, which again is an extremely simple funnel. It's like, hey, I've got this thing that's coming out on this date. Here's why I created it. Here's what it's going to be about. And if you're interested in this topic, join the waitlist. And again, he's leveraging social proof from other people who are very well known. And he's giving an opportunity, again, just to get on this with email. So it's a waitlist funnel, extremely simple funnel, doesn't get more simple than that. So love the funnels that are being used. I love the simplicity. There's this phrase on here of how he transitions to these offers, right? A lot of people are afraid to put a call to action in something like a newsletter article. And again, it's because they don't want to come across as, trying to pitch somebody every time they're on an article, right? And this is why we started to see lead magnets. Another reason why we started to see lead magnets become really popular is because they were saying like, well, I'm just going to get them into this funnel that's separate. I'm going to take them off the newsletter before I try to sell them something. Justin doesn't do that, but he positions the offers really well. He says, whenever you're ready, right? Whenever you're ready, if you're reading a great piece of content and you see the phrase, whenever you're ready, do you feel like you're being pitched? Absolutely not, right? Whenever you're ready. Okay, great. I'm not ready right now, right? But I know that whenever I am, there's 4 ways Justin can help me. Great. I know exactly that when I'm ready, I know right where to go, and I know that there are 4 ways that Justin can help me. Great. Love the way that he's positioned this. Very, very skillful. Very skillful. I absolutely love it. He does something similar with the the sponsorship for the newsletter. Now, again, you would do a newsletter like this, and it's like, I don't know if I want the first thing that somebody sees to be sponsors, right? To be an ad, right? I don't know if I want that to be what, people see the first thing when they visit my newsletter. So skillful the way that this has been written. There we go. So if we zoom in here, we see it's the first thing you see is sponsorships, right? But again, the way he's positioned this is fantastic. So it's thank you to our sponsors who keep this newsletter free to the reader. So when you read that, what does that indicate? Well, that indicates that if it weren't for these sponsors, this content is so good that I would have to be paying to get access to it. So now these sponsors have gone from pest to welcome guest, as I believe Dan Kennedy used to say. They've gone from, an ad to, oh man, if it weren't for these guys, I'd be having to pay to get access to this content. Fine, let me glance at what they have to offer, right? Really fantastic positioning. One of the things that, we've just seen as we've gone through this so far is that Justin is fantastic at positioning his offers, and it's very simple. So if somebody were to want to sponsor this newsletter, the funnel that they would go to is this one right here, right? So this is a sales page. It's promote your business to 180,000 plus solopreneurs. And the page talks about others who have sponsored the newsletter. And it also talks about, what you can expect when you sponsor this newsletter. And it's really simple as everything. Everything is positioned really well. And it's something that when you read it, you just feel really good about it, right? You just feel like, yeah, this is a great opportunity. This is a good way to sponsor this. One question I've been getting as I've shared this with a couple people is, if I were to want to sponsor my newsletter, at what point would I do that? At what point would I want to open up the newsletter to sponsors, right? How many people should be on the list? How do I charge? Well, if you do the breakdown, basically I just took 180,000 subscribers divided by $3,000, which is the cost of the newsletter subscription, really a great deal. It comes out to basically a penny, a little over a penny, so 0.016 cents. So basically, if you round up, it's 2 cents per subscriber. So 1 to 2 cents per subscriber on the list. And what you'll notice is that his pricing model seems to be based off of supply and demand. So he recently increased the price on the cost to sponsor the newsletter. He did that because, one, his supply of subscribers had increased pretty dramatically. And so as a result of that, he needed to increase the price of it. But not only that, it was also the fact that he now had more demand. He was booked out 6 months on sponsorships, and he didn't want to book out any further. So he needed to slow that down and rebalance the supply and demand, which means that he needed to increase the price. So that was the reason for the price. He did so based on an increase of supply and an increase of demand, which means an increase in price, right? So this is how all of this works and what this all looks like if you were to build this. Now let's move into the tech stack and how much he's making from this newsletter. So let's get started with the tech stack. This is a post from Twitter that Justin published. And again, everybody I think wonders, like, how does he do this? Or what are the tools I would need to do something like this? He just shares it, right? He knows people want to know, and he puts together simple posts like this that provide value. So what I did is I just went out and found basically which plan he is using, with the exception of ConvertKit. I'll explain that in a minute. I just found which plan is he using to do the things that he's doing. So on Webflow, he's probably looking at, you'd be looking at about 29 per month. His is probably a little bit higher because of the amount of traffic he's getting. I didn't think about that before I threw that in, but 29 per month. And that's the Webflow that has the option for the blog feature, the CMS feature, which is the how he's doing the weekly recurring article, right? That's formatted the same way. It doesn't take him forever to rebuild. So 29 per month. Now his courses are hosted on Kajabi. I think he's probably paying $200 per month for that. I added that in here, but if you're not doing the course model, which again he didn't start with, then you don't need that, right? Personally, I like School better than Kajabi. We've been using School, and School has, Kajabi has some limitations, right? Which I think he's probably hitting, but Kajabi has some limitations. School is $99 per month, no limitations. I think the reason that he does not use School and he uses Kajabi is because he doesn't have the community aspect of in his funnels, and I don't think he wants the community aspect in his funnels. And so for him, he is using Kajabi. Personally, I like School. Taplio is what he's using for LinkedIn posting. Hypefury is what he's using separately for Twitter posting. ConvertKit is what he's using for his CRM. And SparkLoop is what he's using, I believe, for email referrals. You don't need to start with SparkLoop. With ConvertKit, I put $25 per month because that pricing was based on 1,000 subscribers. When I ran the numbers on this for how many subscribers he has, he's probably hovering just over 1,000 per month, right? So, you don't need to consider that when you're starting, but if you're just starting with ConvertKit, and it's a great platform, he's at $25 per month. SparkLoop, you don't need to start with that. That's for referrals primarily. Fathom is his analytics, and his project management, he uses Notion, which is free. So in total, if you were to do all of these things, you're looking at a high end to start of $437 per month. But again, remember, if you're just doing the newsletter part or you have a different way to monetize, you can remove Kajabi. That's $200 there. So you go down to $238. And then if you're using remove SparkLoop, you remove that as well. You're now down to $139, right? So as it sits, if you were to use everything, you'd be at $437. We're really looking at $139 per month. That's amazing, right? That's really amazing, especially to be able to start something like this for that. Now, if you can't use Webflow and you've got to have somebody that can design it or something like that or build it, that's fine, right? But that's a one-time cost, and then there's going to be some ongoing maintenance and things like that. Or even if you're like, I don't have the time or energy to even post the content into the CMS, to make the articles, right? You might have some management like that, but he's doing this all himself, and the system is set up so that it can facilitate that. It's really easy. I've been able to refer a couple people to, if they need the technical help of setting this up. I'll put a link below. I have some people that can help you with that, that I can refer you out to. Okay. Last thing here is the monetization, right? Where is the money coming from, right? How do we get the fact that this is a 7-figure funnel? Well, what I'm showing here, and we'll do this math together, we'll go through his offers, $2,496,000 per year is what I estimate this is all making. I'm going to show you where I got those numbers from. Honestly, I think it's closer to 5 million. I'm thinking that he's really between like 3 to 5 million. One, with the amount of traffic, he also has some affiliate offers, right? He's using some affiliate links in a few areas. So I think that he's probably got a pretty decent foundation of affiliate traffic coming through. He also has now monetized his Twitter account. So you can subscribe and pay, I think it's $5 per month on Twitter, which is something I've done. It's well worth it. Really enjoy the content. So he has that avenue as well. Now, he's got 500,000 followers on Twitter. There's a pretty decent amount of people who are paying him $5 per month, right? So he could be making anywhere from 60 to 120,000 conservatively just from the Twitter subscriptions alone. That's really impressive. So you've got that. You've got recurring tools that he has affiliate relationships with that he is using in this in his funnels or in his process or in his course, right? So you've got that as well. And so I think that this is actually pretty conservative on this. It's really amazing. So he has 3 core products, and I'm not sure what he's going to charge for this new product that he's offering. But if we look at sponsorships, right, he has 2 openings per week, $3,000 each, and then he does it every week. So that's 52 weeks out of the year. So that's 104 opportunities for revenue to be generated times $3,000. That's a total of $312,000 per year that's being made from newsletter sponsorships. Pretty darn good. From his flagship product, which is the LinkedIn operating system. As I was going through this, I bought this course. I actually went through the course. I actually started implementing the course in my own LinkedIn marketing. I was just kind of dabbling, and I started implementing this. Spoiler alert, it works. I'm up like 600% in reach and followers. So, works. Works quite well, and that was in a pretty short period of time. So, I'd recommend it. Great offer. I actually bought both of his offers. I just have not gotten as deep into his content operating system as I have LinkedIn, but that's his flagship product. I wanted to test it out. Fantastic. Not super long. It's just right to the point. You get exactly what you need. On his page here, he's basically has some social proof elements that show how many people bought from the previous week. And I'm just going off of those average numbers. So basically, he's making 180 sales per week at 150 each, 52 weeks a year on average. That is 9,360 sales per year multiplied by 150. That's 1.4 million. Content operating system is his secondary product. So far from what I've seen, I have started the content operating system. It's very good. I like the LinkedIn one better, but they're both very good. But I can see why that one's his flagship. So this one's saying about 100 people per week, $150 each person, 100 weeks times 52 weeks out of the year, 5,200 per year times 150, 780,000. So when we break this down, we see that 56% of his revenue comes from this LinkedIn course, 31% comes from the content operating system, and then 12.5% comes from the newsletter sponsorship. And again, I think that this is actually low because of some other factors that I was not able to consider. Like, I don't know how much he makes in affiliate commissions, and I imagine that because of a lot of them being recurring, they're probably recurring software stuff that processes every month, right? So I think that that's actually low. Again, I think it's much closer to in the $3 million to $5 million range, and that makes sense with what we're seeing. So this is what goes into a 7-figure newsletter funnel. This is Justin Welsh's 7-figure newsletter funnel and how he's built it. All the components you would need to set something like this up. Why the things are set up a certain way, why things are worded a certain way, how this all fits together. So I hope that this gave you a really comprehensive overview of exactly how you would want to do something like this, and if you were to go build this yourself. I've had a couple people ask me recently from another video that I did on another channel, just for some support and guidance and advice on how to do this. I'll put some links below if you want to, talk and see how you would do something like this. I'd welcome that. A lot of times when it comes to something like this, you're like, okay, everything makes sense about the concept, but I want to know how I would apply it to my specific situation, my specific idea, my specific situation, and how would that apply, or how would I do that, right? And I've helped a lot of people with plans like this. I frequently create, marketing, I call it a marketing action plan like this for folks that basically, tells them exactly how they would want to implement a system like this in their business. So if you're interested in getting some help and have some questions on that, I've got a link for a 15-minute session with me to talk about this or something like this in the description below this video. You're welcome to check this out. But for the most part, if you like videos like this, if you like breakdowns of companies and processes, marketing processes, and how to get clients and traffic for your business, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'd love to have you here and be able to share more information about how to grow your business with cool processes like this. And I hope you enjoyed this and appreciate that you're here with me still. And I'll see you in the next video.